A medical breakthrough this morning has the potential to affect millions of future lives. Researchers say for the first time they have mapped the genetic code of a fetus using a blood sample and saliva from the parents.
This approach could soon be used to diagnose more than 3,000 genetic disorders before a baby is born. However, it also could lead to moral and ethical dilemmas. Dr. Eric Schott is chairman of the genetics department at New York's Mount Sinai Medical Center. We're pleased to have him here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, let's understand the significance of this. One, it's non-invasive.
Correct.
Two, it will give you, as an expectant parent, a possibility to know genetic disorders that your child might have.
On a very grand scale. So, before this discovery, genetic testing occurs all the time. Newborn screening occurs all the time, but in a very focused way. What this technology is giving us now for the first time, good proof of concept, is a very broad look at the whole range of diseases that can befall unborn children.
So, in fact, if a parent worries about a genetic disorder of a significant disease, they may elect to abort.
That's one possibility. But I think the medical benefits of this sort of technology can far outweigh. It's not just terminating a pregnancy. There are metabolic disorders where if you can diagnose that in utero, you can even begin treatment while the fetus is still in utero so that it comes out healthy and can keep being treated.
And also plan for once that baby's born in terms of how to deal with any of these conditions that may befall them. As we mentioned, it's a blood test, a saliva test. So there's no danger at all to the fetus or to the mother with this testing?
Well, there's no danger other than a little prick and bruising from the drawing blood. But other than that, compared to amniocentesis or the chorionic villus sampling, which do carry real risk, this is effectively risk-free.
But you know what's going to be discussed, the idea that some parents may elect because they don't like something about the genetic picture to abort when there is not a kind of serious disorder threat.
So I think that's a real concern. I think first and foremost, there's going to be real medical benefits. I think it's a net positive. I think as we go through how do we adapt to that kind of testing, the social implications, what sorts of policies should we be thinking about, those are the discussions we should be having right now about how to leverage this information in ways that are benefiting mankind, humankind, not biasing the type of population through unnatural selection of traits that.
So is that discussion that you're having, is that the discussion you're having right now in the genetics department or even with the pediatrics department, OBGYNs at the hospital?
Absolutely. One of the, at Mount Sinai, we're going to be among the first in the country to have a course where as part of that course, the medical students, other students get their genome sequenced, and they learn through that course how do you interpret that information, how do you handle it with others, and what happens if you find out that your risk of Alzheimer's by the time you're 50 is
But are we
high.
moving towards a time in which parents are going to try to design the perfect child, and make all kinds of selections based on gender and other things that have nothing to do with health?
Again, I think that's a real risk, and I think the way we can overcome that kind of risk is to educate not just the general population, the legislature, on what's coming and what kinds of policies are we going to have to put in place to prevent this sort of extreme designer baby mentality.
Are we looking at the necessity of new laws by government?
I think there's a potential for new laws. It's not unlike choosing to terminate a pregnancy based on the sex of the child. Those are the sorts of things we want to avoid.
Real quickly before we let you go, how soon could this test actually be available to people?
Yeah, so there's a bit of development. This is a proof of concept study that was done. I think you're realistically looking at probably outwards of 5 years before the cost is enough to carry out routinely. And
there'll be a lot of talking in those 5 years.
Yeah, that's the whole point. We got to talk about it. We have to discuss and educate ourselves.
Dr. Schott, good to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.